Good afternoon, guys, from Birmingham and Summer Row, which is the Flixbus stop for this city. And today I'm taking the coach all the way up to Newcastle upon Tyne at a journey time of around about 5.5 hours, due to depart at 14:15 this afternoon. Now, I'm not quite sure what to expect. It's a fairly new route, this is, and I got it for a super cheap price. But they did allocate me a seat, seat 20D, which is right at the back of the coach. So depending on the numbers, it's either going to be really nice and quiet and chilled, or it's going to be busy and there's going to be somebody sitting next to me and I'm going to be hemmed in. And you know what happened last time when I was on the back of a coach? It's just a nightmare. So I just don't know what to expect, but come with me, it'll certainly be an interesting trip, I'm sure. I will see you on the coach, and join me in a bit. So Flixbus had recently moved their pickup point from the old but more central Dudley Street to this stop in Summer Row, Birmingham. Now this is fine, but it's a good 10 minutes walk from Birmingham New Street Railway Station, and probably double that from Birmingham Coach Station, which is of course the National Express hub in the city. Now Flixbus had also moved the departure time of my coach forward by 45 minutes, which was helpful in so much as I'd hopefully be getting into Newcastle earlier. But my earlier coach, the National Express service from Shrewsbury to London, had been delayed due to some horrendous traffic on the M6 on a Sunday, believe it or not. And so, this part of the journey had actually been a little bit more stressful than I had hoped for. There's not much to see or do here, really. Just one solitary bus stop on the side of the road. And that's fine, though. If you're early enough, you can get a seat in the bus shelter. Otherwise, just stand around like I did, waiting for the coach, along with probably about another 20 passengers who were also hanging around. And attached to the inside of the bus shelter are some QR codes to scan. The top one gives you some live tracking information on your coach, and the other two are to download the app if you haven't already done so. Our coach, the 078 service originating in Taunton, I believe, arrived at the bus stop 10 minutes early. A very smart looking Yonkers body on a Volvo chassis, according to a couple of my wise followers on YouTube. It was on private plates, so I wasn't quite sure how old it was at this stage, but a little bit later on in the journey I was again able to clarify that through the power of social media. Just the one driver on this coach. He did all the ticket checks and luggage loading unloading, and please note that unlike Megabus in Birmingham, there are no additional Flixbus staff on hand to assist. Well, I boarded the coach, and after a slight delay due to one of the passengers near the front getting her hair trapped in the seatbelt, I headed straight for the back. My first impressions, really nice. I especially liked the grey patterned interior. 2 seat configuration throughout, as you would expect. The coach seated 57 or 53 plus one wheelchair. Now, as I said before, I was allocated seat 20D right at the rear of the coach, but this coach only had 16 rows, so that was a bit confusing, but I figured out it was probably unreserved seating at this point anyway, so I just sat in the back row, not a problem. We left Summer Row at 14:16, 1 minute late, and headed out for the Aston Expressway. All things good so far, and I was happy. There was only one other passenger on the back row, so plenty of space to spread out. First stop for me on this route would be timetabled for 3 hours' time. Sheffield Meadowhall interchange. Okay, the seat then had this leather effect antimacassar on the headrest, a good padding on the back, and 3-point seat belts as you would expect. Also good padding on the seat cushion, and on the side under the window a very handy flip down cup holder. Nice thick grey curtains and fold down tables with more provision for holding your drinks built in. A USB power worked and was located here between the seats in front. And note that these seats had a retractable armrest between them, but yeah, no such luck for the seats at the back here. The legroom was passable, I would say. Yeah, there was plenty of room to stretch out on the coach with it being half empty, but had it been full it would have felt a little bit cramped, I think. Footrests are provided, but no seat back pouch for your food and drinks. Note the VDL branding here. These coaches are actually made in Roeselare, Flanders by Jonkeers, but owned by VDL, who are themselves a Dutch company. So above your head we have the usual integrated reading lights. I'm not sure what they were doing on, to be honest. We'll just switch them off at this point. And individual air vents as you would expect, though the airflow was a bit feeble, I thought. There was ample small luggage provision on both sides which ran the length of the coach. We pulled into Tib Shelf Services for the driver's scheduled stop of about 40 odd minutes. This is built into the timetable, and so everybody had plenty of time to go and grab a coffee and use the toilet, etc. Right then guys, Tib Shelf Services on the M1, just pulled in for the driver's scheduled break and the coach, as you can see just behind me there. Quite a nice coach actually. Not sure how old it is. It's got one of these personalised plates on it, but I'll find that out a little bit later. But yeah, it's reasonably smart inside. The seat's good condition, everything works. Toilet's a bit hit and miss, one or two issues with that. But it's good that we can stop here and everybody can use the proper toilets inside. Not too fast on service stations, to be honest. One or two notable exceptions aside, in my opinion they are overpriced hellholes, but we've got to stop, haven't we? So yeah, I'm going to clamber on board again. We're due to leave at 4 o'clock and it's only 25 to now, so yeah, plenty of time, and we're doing well in terms of the schedule. Hopefully getting to Newcastle on time later on this evening. I'll catch you in a bit. Yeah, so the coach was in fact a 2015 model, and to be honest, without knowing it was 8 years old, I would have thought it was a lot newer. And okay, although it was one of the older coaches I've been on, 8 years is nothing, is it? I mean, how many trains and aircraft do you travel on which are much, much older than this? Quite a few, I would imagine. So we left Tib Shelf Services at 1600 hours as promised, and yeah, I did mention the toilet there, which was, all in all, a bit of a disaster zone, to be honest. Firstly, my camera decided to malfunction, which wasn't a great start, so I ended up using my phone. Secondly, there was no water in the tap. Not great, is it that? Thirdly, there was no soap. Fourthly, is that a word? To get around all this, I presume anyway, self-drying hygienic hand sanitising foam was provided by means of an automatic dispenser. And yeah, I could see that there was plenty of it. Trouble was, it didn't automatically dispense. So yeah, I'm assuming the battery had just run flat, but honestly, why bother with these things? Just get some manual ones. As I always say, carry hand sanitizer, especially on coach journeys. At least the toilet itself flushed. Anyway, I was back in my seat after another traumatic toilet experience. It wasn't far to Sheffield. I was just having a nice time really, watching a few videos and just generally feeling fairly relaxed, which is how it should be, isn't it? And the traffic on the M1 had been really good, and although we weren't scheduled to arrive into Sheffield until 17:10, we actually got into Meadowhall interchange at 16:32. And yeah, arriving so early was a first for me, but yeah, another opportunity to stretch my legs for a bit. Sheffield, 38 minutes early. Can you believe that? Yeah, like the driver said though, it's better to be on stand early than dawdling up the motorway and then hitting traffic and ending up late. So yeah, got a bit of time to hang around now. A few people got off, not many, and there's one or two waiting for the coach. But I guess, if you were waiting for a coach that left at 10 minutes past 5, you wouldn't be turning up here at 25 to 5, would you? So yeah, we'll see how many get on, I guess, and then back on the coach. There's not much going on a Sunday afternoon here, really. And if you do turn up wanting to join a coach or meet someone getting off, there's a handy sign here directing you to the correct stand, as both Megabus and National Express also use this interchange. And I would guess about half a dozen people boarded, and we quickly got on our way again. Now, between Sheffield and our next stop, Leeds, I decided to try out the Wi-Fi. It was very good, actually. It connected quickly enough, and I was able to watch YouTube easily, and other social media images loaded up really well. And it wasn't a bad day either, weather-wise. I was still pretty comfortable in my seat. Everyone on the coach was quiet and respectful of other passengers, and traffic on the motorway was good as well. And maybe Sunday is the best day for travelling this way. We arrived into Leeds on time, and I reckon an equal number of passengers disembarked and boarded the coach, about 20. Some of the new arrivals were trying to get other passengers to move as they'd got reserved seats. I didn't see any reserved signs on the seats, but yeah, I've had this problem with Flixbus before, and I did wonder whether people who were already on the coach were sitting in seats that they'd paid to reserve, or not, as the case may be. I don't know, but clearly if people are unable to sit in the specific seats they've reserved and paid for, well, they need to claim a refund directly from Flixbus. Well, it shouldn't really come to that though, should it? And yeah, I would imagine in a lot of cases the poor old driver will get most of the hassle. Now, what do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, we left 3 minutes late as one of our passengers was doing her makeup, the driver said jokingly. Yeah, and I must say, having a driver like this who clearly loves what he does makes all the difference, doesn't it? And he did keep us updated throughout the journey. Excellent service. I decided to move to the left hand side for the last leg, just to give you a different perspective on the journey, and we pressed on northwards up the M1 towards Newcastle. Right, so crossing the fantastic Tyne Bridge in Newcastle, I cannot think of a better way to enter any city in the world. Can you? So, the price I paid for this journey, which turned out to be around about 5.5 hours, was just £2. Yeah, that's right, £2. £2. Now I had to pay the usual booking fee, which was £1, so yeah, okay, we'll call it £3 in total. But I think you'll agree that that was an absolute bargain. And I cannot stress enough the importance of booking as far in advance as possible to be able to secure this kind of fare. This was a new route for Flixbus, so yeah, there was an element of promotional incentive, I would say, to keep prices down at the time. Well, I'm not so sure that these kind of fares are readily available now, but all I would say is, yeah, keep an eye out, look out for new routes, promotional fares, and yeah, book it up as soon as you can to take advantage. We were pretty much on time at this point, although after crossing the river the coach seemed to go on some kind of never-ending circuitous route before we finally ended up at our stop, another side of the road affair called John Dobson Street, where it looks like Megabus also call. National Express do have their own dedicated coach station, by the way. That's elsewhere in the city, and yeah, that's for another video coming up on the channel soon. I disembarked the coach, made my way back towards the river. A beautiful evening in Newcastle, and yeah, I was looking forward to a nice relaxing evening enjoying the famous Geordie hospitality. Newcastle, yeah, got here about 6 minutes late in the end, which is fine, isn't it? It's a lovely evening in Newcastle as well, and yeah, it's quite a nice coach really. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to head down to my accommodation for this evening, which is down by the quayside. So when I get to the river there, we'll sum up the journey and I'll let you know what I thought. I'll catch you in a minute. The coach departed pretty much as soon as everybody had got off and collected their luggage. Still looking very smart, isn't it? Yeah, I reckon it was about a 10-minute walk from here down to the river. Maybe not even that actually, as I did end up going the wrong way at one point. But in this part of the city, I think you get a real sense of history and engineering achievement. But watch out for seagulls, or rather what they may be discharging, shall we say. The place was absolutely teeming with them. Right guys, so yeah, down at the quayside, and yeah, that's quite an iconic bridge, isn't it, just behind me there. The famous and fantastic Tyne Bridge in Newcastle, upon Tyne of course. So yeah, what did you think of that? A Flixbus all the way from Birmingham up to here. It took yeah, about 5.5 hours for a total price of £2 plus booking fee, which was 50% of that, another £1. So you can't go wrong with that, can you really? The coach overall was pretty nice. Not sure I'd sit at the back again if I could help it. I'd probably pay an extra couple of pounds to sit at the front. But yeah, enjoyed it thoroughly really. Like I said, can't complain for the money, can you? Thank you very much for watching. Please join me on another adventure soon. I hope you will. And until the next time guys, as always, cheers for now.